Welcome to the fall edition of 1 Square Mile, even though as I stand here, it's snowing quite hard out. We started our day in clear skies down in our business district, stopped at Playa Bowl, met Louie and Anthony, who told us the great story of the origin of their business, which you will love. Just turned the corner and stopped at my favorite sounding name, Opa Opa, and we met the owners, the manager, and the incomparable chef, and told us about their opening even before Christmas. Another walk back towards my office to our wonderful school. We met some of the most accomplished students talking about a new science program, spearheaded by their mentor and professor, Justine McClellan. And then finally, we ended the day right here in my nice warm office with Trustee Mark Wood talking about our new initiative, a comprehensive community plan for the village. So join us today because it's all about what's new and what's happening in the village. Cowabunga. We are here at one of the more fun and adventurous restaurants in our village. So, Louie, Anthony, what am I having here? What am I having?
Fruit bowls, smoothies,
okay.
Oatmeal, soup.
Oh, you looked at me and said oatmeal, right? But tell me, which is so much fun, first of all, welcome to the village. We're so happy you're here.
Thank you.
And I hear from everybody, you have an amazing buzz about the business and the warmth and the friendship in here already. So Louie, tell me what brought you, thankfully, to Bronxville.
I've been coming here for years, about 15, 20 years, probably longer. We love the village. It's a great village, great town. And we always wanted to do something here, me and my partner. And then this came up.
It was just a natural fit.
Yeah,
huh?
exactly.
Now, did you grow up nearby?
I actually grew up in the Bronx. But I've been in Eastchester for the last few years.
Terrific.
I always loved this town.
You're really a local boy, right? Right?
Yeah.
And Anthony, where are you from?
I'm from Pelham, so not too far. Yeah. I've been here many times, and then when this place opened, I came here right away. So
now, how is he as a boss?
He's very good. Now that we're on camera, he's very
the
good.
best.
So tell us about, because I am really kind of not plugged into all these wonderful. What is a Playa Bowl?
It's get in.
All right, it's the bottom is basically like a smoothie bowl, and then there's granola on top, and then you can put whatever fruit and whatever toppings you want on top, and the mixture just goes really well together.
And it's really healthy, obviously, correct?
Yeah, and people have it as meals. Some people have it as like a dessert, but it goes both ways, which is really good.
I've seen a lot of actually the Bronxville athletes out here eating them as their meal before the bus ride to the event.
Right,
and,
I see Bronxville athletes, Concordia, Manhattanville, a cup Pace. And
good.
Yeah, but it's we have protein in our bowls, some bowls, so yeah.
So what's the gamut of customers like? What do the the teenagers like versus someone like me order? I'm just fascinated how the whole system works.
Well, it's really a big mixture, but the oatmeal is really different than like a regular Playa Bowl because it's the oatmeal is hot and the pliable is cold. So, and now we're getting soups too. So it's really a mixture. There's not really a specific trend.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're right. A day like today cries out for soup.
It does.
It does. Soup and oatmeal day. So, so any surprises? What have you thought about business in Bronxville?
Oh, we love it. We love it. It's going good. We love it. It's been steady. We're happy with it. Yeah,
Good.
Yeah.
Because I always tell people in a wonderful way, sometimes it takes a little while to start up, but once the word spreads in town, the residents, the students are very loyal.
Yeah.
And you get to know them. And,
exactly.
So that'll be terrific. You might even be doing, Lang's does prom invitations with their food sometimes. You know how you have to invite someone to the promposal. We might have a pliable promposal. I think that should be a new product. Okay.
We'll try it.
So, any other thoughts? This is like the perfect setup. The way you've done it, and I notice you have surfing on the. On the TV.
Well, that's the thing.
Yes, exactly.
Beachy, beachy surfboards.
It looks terrific, and we're just thrilled you're here. And I'm glad he's such a good boss. All right.
Even when we shut the cameras, he's a great boss.
Is he? All right. And if you want to make a public appeal for a raise, go right ahead.
Take it easy, Mary. Come on.
So I just wanted to tell our residents this is just the most peaceful, healthy place you could come, winter, summer, and just walk down my favorite little street. I love Park Place because the stores are so kind of nested with each other. So just come halfway down Park Place and come into the really brightly colored storefront. And I know you guys would love to have them. Okay, now Louis, you told me about you, but tell me the story of the whole pliable, how the whole concept started.
Okay, it was a young couple, Robert Giuliani and Abby Taylor, and they were surfers, and they were surfing all over the world. And they opened up they came across this acai, and they opened up a stand outside their friend's pizzeria. They asked their friend's pizzeria if they could have a stand outside, and it just took off.
And they were like a Jersey Shore couple,
yeah, they were from
right?
Jersey Shore, from Belmar.
In front of their friend's pizza place.
Right.
But the real importance is how fresh everything is. Like, I'm thinking of those great acai berries. Like, where do you get those year round?
It's shipped over from Brazil, and we get it made into like an ice form, and that's the acai. That's the base of the bowls.
Isn't that? So this is. What a success story.
Yeah, great story. Great
I love hearing stories like that.
It's great. Yeah.
All right. So you know what? Here's to you being as successful.
Thank
you.
We'll
have Louis' story. All right. What's your hours?
We're open from 8 to 9.
8
in the morning to 9.
Okay. So you can come all day, every day for a pliable.
Right, exactly.
And people like me, the oatmeal. Well, welcome and much success.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you both.
Thanks.
Well, it only took me a hop, skip, and I'm learning an OPA to come down the street to another new international restaurant in the village of Bronxville. We're actually on the perfect corner of Cedar Street and Pondfield. Couldn't be a more central location. And I'm joined by the owners and the chef today. So welcome to Bronxville. We're so happy you're here.
Welcome, Mayor Mary Marvin, and we're very happy to be part of Bronxville community.
We're thrilled. Everybody's been in your window. I think
For the past few months, we have met so many great people at Bronxville, and their warm welcome actually helped us get through this construction period.
Right.
And we're very glad to be part of this community. It's a great community, great people. We met so many wonderful people, and I think we're going to do very well here.
Yes, you are, because you add a new kind of cuisine to the village, and And I know what interests me, obviously you don't have to be Greek to love Greek food because, you know, it's some of the freshest, finest, you know, the great Mediterranean diet has helped everybody.
You're right.
And Chef, tell us a little bit about, and I know there's a lot of vegetable items for folks who are the non-meat eaters and your fish. Give us a little preview of the menu.
Okay, by trying to bring in this village something very different, I think so have to be first time I bring to Greek kitchen.
Yeah.
Example be homemade food, 90% everything is homemade. I start up pasticcio, moussaka, spanakopita, spinach pie, cheese pie, and I go to fish. Example have porgy, snapper, branzini, calamari, octopus, and I have all the dips. Το original dips who makes is homemade από tzatziki, από hummus, από eggplant salad, melon salata, and trying to do something great to be everybody happy.
Well, we want you to make everybody happy, and isn't that what I'm learning? Tell me how the name of the restaurant fits into that. The Opa Opa.
Opa Opa is the Greek name. Opa is like people dance. Opa is for every success you have. Say Opa, everybody. And cheers is Opa.
So it's all positive, right?
Yes. When you pick up your child just born, you're lifted up and you say Opa.
Opa. That's it.
What a wonderful.
This is something. This name everybody.
It's an emotional Greek saying.
I have very experience. I work more than 25, 30 years in these parts for kitchens and for chefs and for this one.
Well, that's what I understand. You have, not to say, but a quarter century of experience cooking Greek food. You've lived in Greece, and you have a place in Astoria. Which
I have in Manhattan too, Yayas.
You have Manhattan?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the Greek name Yayas. It's grandmother.
Oh,
for a lot of people come and say, oh, who is Papus?
That's your next opening, right? Yeah. And it looks great. You told us that so much, the real bones are in here, 90% of it.
90% of it's
complete.
completed.
Yeah,
so we're just waiting for final inspection, and we should be well underway in a couple of weeks, hopefully.
So right before the Christmas holidays, do you think?
Yeah, I think before.
Oh, that will be fabulous. Everyone so wants you here. You just add a new dimension to the food here. And I will say the residents are very adventurous in what they try, and they're also very health conscious. And I think you meet it all. And you're also, I can't help but notice, you're the first place that
gyros.
Do the gyros with the
more important is homemade gyros. It's new style. It's nobody. I'd be happy. None of people open all that. It's the new style gyros.
So where you shave the meat. Yes. Oh my goodness, that
be chicken and lemon beef mixed together.
That's fabulous. And you even told me the French fries are hand cut.
Be homemade.
Homemade French fries, even.
Yes.
Well, you're just in the perfect corner. You know, right here, Cedar and Pondfield is the nexus for everything. And I think you're the perfect addition to the village. And you promised us we're coming back and sitting down when you open and do a tasting.
Yes, that's the most important part.
Yes.
See if the food.
I'll be very happy to see you soon. No for test to see all time here.
Oh, okay. all right. I walk by every day, so I'll come in. Thank you, gentlemen, and welcome. And we wish you huge success in the village.
Thank you so much.
Opa.
Opa. Thank you.
Thank you. Some bright young minds in our community are working on studying our own Bronx River, what's in it, what should be in it, what we can do to clean it up. And I thought you would just want to know about it because it's a new program at the school to me, and I think to most community members. And it's led by their wonderful teacher, Justine. And I just thought we'd hear from all of you on, Justine, maybe an overview of what is the Bronx River Research.
Sure. So this program started a few years ago as an independent study with just a few students, and it's very unique in that many schools have a research program, but a lot of times that research is being done in a different setting, in a hospital or a lab. And we were looking to bring authentic research experiences to students in a way that's accessible and anyone can do. And it's studying something that affects our own community, so the local ecosystem. So the course is very open-ended. Students ask their own research questions and design their own experiments, their own ways to collect data, and the topics could be anything from invasive plants to bacteria in the water to an engineering project of designing a water quality probe to better collect data. And we have macroinvertebrates, which are insects in the river we're studying. We've also studied the salinity and effects of road salt on the water in the winter. And we have a group this year interested in studying the fish. So it's really whatever the students want to study, they can. And I just try to connect them to the resources and give them the support to do that. And the class has evolved. It started, like I said, as an independent study, which meant students were kind of doing it at lunch, after school, on their free time. And then last year, we had so many students wanting to do this independent study, they made it a class, but it was only 40 minutes. And now we have a full 80-minute class, which meets every other day, full science credit. And now we also have an advanced section for students who already took the class last year but want to continue. So they learn a lot about research and science, and it's all hands-on, and it's great.
So you have basically your own lab by walking down the street.
That's
right. And you do the whole ecosystem around it. And so what have you learned? Tell me about your part of this.
Well, we've all learned a lot about the river and its ecosystem and the problems that it's facing, and there's a lot of stuff that most people might not know about it, and it's just something that's it's got to be fixed. There's a lot of issues with the river, and I've learned about them, and now I'm here.
Well, we were talking about it before we actually got on the air that, is it your hope and, be my hope that what you learn can turn to some activism or the results help us to clean it up? Because the more I learn from all of you, the sadder I am about what's in there, what's not in there. So what would be ideal for you to do with this data?
So this isn't my first year in the class, so I was also introduced to a lot of stuff about the river that I didn't know beforehand. And it looks there are a bunch of things that are polluting our river. There's Enterococcus bacteria, which is linked to sewage. So that's one thing. There's also a lot of trash and surrounding the area. So whether it's finding the source of the Enterococcus bacteria through looking at maps of our drain pipes or whatever, or linking the trash to particular businesses or traffic or whatever we can find, that information will help us sort of stop the pollution at its source, hopefully.
Exactly. And you're part of it? What are you working on this year?
Well, this is my first year in the course as well. But my group actually decided to take a little different take on the whole studying the river. And so in our group, we're actually designing a water probe that would have 4 different probes which test oxygen reduction potential, pH, salinity, and conductivity. Conductivity and salinity are linked together. And so we decided to make this probe so that research in other groups in our class would be easier, so that they could place this probe in the river for a few days and they could monitor how the different levels change over time. And so this project started last year before I got here, and then now it's a new group of people, and we're trying to redesign it so that it's more waterproof, it has a longer battery life, possibly making it easier to open and close, and maybe making this a thing that all the groups can use, since last year we didn't really get to fully use it and get some data from it.
Perfect. I know you're doing a presentation tomorrow morning,
That's right.
which I'm going to come to. And I have to tell you, your work is resonating. Today I had the second graders over, and I asked them what they would fix in the village. And frankly, I thought they were going to say they wanted a toy store. And do you know they said clean up the river?
Oh, wow.
I am not lying to you. The second grader said you have to clean up the river. So it's really resonating with the whole community. And you said people stop you as you're down there? And
Right. Yeah. So we have, when the students are out, we get stopped in the street or at the river, and people want to know, what are you doing? What are you finding? And usually when we tell them what we're doing, they get very excited and they want to know our results. They want to know how they can get involved. I've had people give me their business cards and phone numbers and say, you know, I run the Boy Scouts, or I do this. What can we do to help? So people do care about the environment. And it starts with children, and I think if you just take people to the Bronx River, they usually are surprised by the amount of wildlife. Usually just the first trip I take students, even though it sounds kind of gloom and doom sometimes, they're always surprised when they find fish, frogs, herons, egrets.
Right. Yeah.
There is wildlife there, and then they realize this is something worth preserving and restoring. And we now have, this kind of grew organically as I started doing work on the Bronx River with students. The elementary school teachers and middle school teachers came to me and said, how can we get involved? What can we do? And then now they're doing trips to the river, I think starting in kindergarten, believe it or not.
That's
so
terrific.
The kids go, and when they're really young, it's very simple. Just make some observations, maybe collecting leaves. As they get older, they might try to identify trees, identify wildlife. And then by the time they're in middle school, they're actually using probeware and just detecting pH and dissolved oxygen and even enterococcus bacteria. And some of these things we're doing on the high school level, but they're doing it on a more simplistic level. So I'm very excited. I have great students now, but I'm excited to see the students I get in a few years who maybe already have a foundation in this, starting with middle school. And they'll come into my classroom already asking questions and already wanting to do some work, whereas we kind of spend a good chunk of the beginning of the year just learning about the river and trying to come up with questions. So I'm very excited to see this change kind of K through 12 as a department.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
And what has surprised you, for good or for ill, about the river going down there?
Well, my dad always told me that it was polluted, and before I took this class, and I didn't really think about that much. And when I took this class, it kind of opened my eyes a little bit and showed me how bad it actually is.
Yeah.
And it showed me that some of the animals that live there and how they're affected by the pollutants in the water, or the road salt when it snows, it goes in the river and it hurts them. So I didn't know the effect of the animals that live there. And
okay. And how about you?
Well, I think the more I've learned about the river, the more I've started to care about it. Before, it wasn't something that crossed my mind as much, but now I feel kind of invested. I feel invested in it, and I think it surprised me how many people care about it too, and how many, like, we were on the train yesterday coming back from trash pickup at Hartsdale, and a teacher at Fordham stopped us and she said, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" And we said, "Oh, we are doing like a trash study in the area, we're trying to clean up the river and figure out what's going on, X, Y, and Z." And she actually was telling us, like, she was saying, like, oh, how that's such a great thing when she was a Girl Scout some 50 years ago, that she would, like, go and pick up trash by the river. So it's like been an ongoing problem, and it's like years in the making. But I think now that we're people are really paying attention to it, I think that's a really good thing.
I do too. And we're the 23rd mile of this river, which is also fascinating to me. And it's very hard to figure out. We're sort of at the end, and we get a lot of things from runoff from a lot of places. And so what do you think? I sort of feel like it cries for some little activism group around it saying, once you get these results, I mean, I'd love you to bring them to me and tell me, because I will tell you, just in hearing about the road salt, we have switched to a product that is much less salt because of listening to all of you. And we purchased this this new composite that works as well, but to your point, doesn't the salinity in the river is not affected. So it's already had an effect on us just by listening to you. So, so your final thoughts on, would you recommend this I know I wanted to join after coming.
I would highly recommend this class for anybody who's just interested in taking a science class, but not like your classic chemistry or biology, like memorizing formulas and facts, more of a hands-on kind of getting to see like things that you learn about like firsthand and getting to actually do research. And especially if you're interested in medical or research or anything like that, this could kind of give you an idea of, oh, is this something that I really do like, or is this something that maybe shouldn't be in my future, but are still like interested in maybe the whole activism part of it. Right. Maybe you decide, I don't like the research part, but I enjoy going out and trying to make a change.
Right.
And so I think overall this class has something for everybody. So yeah.
I think that's a great way to end it. That's terrific, and I think it does too. And talk about, I just think the community, just to hear about what's new at the Bronxville School, and it's fabulous. And thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
We continue on the theme of what's new in our village, and I'm excited. I have one of our newer trustees, who's our point person on working on a new comprehensive community plan for the village. And we were talking about sometimes a new look is a way to preserve the old. And I think of that, and to see our village and take all that's wonderful and constant and quality over the last 100+ years and look at it and make sure we're continuing in the tradition of some great trustees before us. So Mark, you're our point person liaison to this endeavor. So maybe just share with our community what a community plan attempts to do is.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Oh,
it's a terrific opportunity to share with you and with the community what we're trying to do, which is establish and update a community plan or a comprehensive plan, which is a broad overview of our community land uses. All aspects of the village that we know and love, whether it's residential, commercial, tax-exempt properties like the hospital or like the religious facilities that we have, the schools, the infrastructure, all aspects of our village we're going to take another look at. We do this, we're supposed to do this once every 5 years. We're now a little bit behind cycle because the last one that was performed was in 2009. And it's a really comprehensive view of our comprehensive set of issues. You were exactly right as to say that over a long period of time, we have cultivated this terrific community that we have through a combination of uses. It's been fully built out for decades. The growth in the community has been very static. And what we've been trying to do is ensure that we're meeting the needs of our current residents, our current merchants, and all those that enjoy this place and call it home.
That's such a great way to say. And I think you said, or one of the trustees, it's sort of time for us to step back and kind of look from 30,000 feet at the village as a whole, because I know you and I often, our trustees work on small zoning issues, and we fix something we see here or there, but we have to make sure it all blends, meshes, and I know you talked about like how to blend a college into a residential neighborhood, how to blend a hospital into a business district, and I just think this is something we so need to do. And could you give the community just an example of some of the issues, who we're talking to, how they can input on this, because I'd be happy to hear from everybody if they had a thought.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, our effort is to try and capture the needs and wants and modified behaviors since our last plan, to help incorporate those into this new update. We've so far been reaching out to multiple constituent bodies, whether it's the Historical Conservancy or the Beautification Committee or the merchants in town or residents at large, that sort of thing. Our goal and objective over time is to actually capture that information and then reach out to the rest of the community, gather broad-based input. We do know, thankfully, that the issues are relatively constant over time. Parking is a routine item. Vibrancy of the commercial district is another. New things that continue to arise happen to do with the residential side of the equation. We've been built out as a community for, as I mentioned, decades, and you'll find in a number of cases that folks in today's world want to update their homes, expand their homes, modify them in small and large ways. We have to deal with that in an effective fashion in order to maintain the character and nature of the community, and yet enable folks to do it in a way that's beneficial.
You're so right. I mean, I think of issues that have come to the fore, some quality of life issues like preserving our trees, frankly making sure we don't allow projects to drag on so long that an entire neighborhood is involved in a 3+ year renovation. And you're so right. To me, it's kind of a balancing act of keeping what we must preserve, understanding what the challenges are in 2018 that were not here 10 years ago, and building on our successes and, fixing some of our omissions.
Sure. A number of the things that have been improved since the last plan, a direct reflection of the time, effort, and commitment and input from the community, are the beautification exercises, efforts that have been undertaken. For example, the parking and the expansion or redevelopment of BXV as a new entrant, and the improvement to the streets and the landscape generally around. We've had great fortune and great local support from with our trees, for example. The village is filled with very old trees. Numerous storms that are coming through are eliminating a lot of those.
Exactly.
So we have to do what we can as things change to keep it in a way that we all like.
And we've had great, and I think the comprehensive plan talks about, we've had great partnership with the Nature Preserve, the Bronxville Beautification. We kind of, the wonderful public-private partnerships that we have to keep going to, because you're absolutely right. We've lost 200 trees since Sandy, either death or storm, and everyone's helping us to replace them. But
well, you mentioned storms. Part of the plan continues to be our efforts to mitigate flooding and other issues that will impact us going forward. You saw lots of change over the last cycle since the last plan. Direct reflection of both our needs and the planning that was done back in 2009.
Well, I always focus on back when I was on the zoning board in the Stone Age. If someone wanted a new driveway, we never thought, and nor did other communities, about permeability. It was you slapped on the blacktop, and we worried about that there were pretty hedges to keep the driveway, the not so pretty driveway, away from your neighbor. And to your point, now we're looking at where does that water flow go? When you build a beautiful stone wall in the village, where is the water at the end of the stone wall going? So to your point, there's whole new issues that were not on people's radar even 10 years ago.
You've got landscaping issues you're describing. You've got energy efficiency, green issues, let's call it. You've got transportation issues. What are those things that, as you look forward the next 5 years, next 8 years, next 10 years, that we're going to need to address in order to maintain our sustainability features and our appeal as behaviors change?
Because, I mean, you're absolutely right. the character of this village. And you and I were talking, people started looking at this in the 40s in sort of little ad hoc comprehensive plans because they knew the value of keeping this village, what makes it special.
Well, we've had great fortune to live in a community that, although it wasn't pre-planned,
right,
like you might think of a development in Florida,
right,
it actually is one of the first planned communities in the country.
In
so many ways. You've got multiple uses that all complement one another and that many people look at and say, we'd like to be like you.
Yeah.
It's a very fortunate situation we find ourselves in.
So this is something I think, well, we have to do and we should do. And it's kind of been a great journey for all of us because we're looking at everything with fresh eyes. And frankly, you and I both count on the residents to weigh in. We've just started the process. So we reached out to some, frankly, obvious constituent groups who we know have worked on beautification, preservation. One of the important groups that we started with right away, and you were on the planning board, was getting our planning board and zoning and saying, what kind of things are coming to you and what makes sense and what don't make sense, and they've been incredible resources.
Yeah, they're the front line.
They're
the ones that deal with matters and issues that come before the community every month, every week, every day, for that matter. And you know, that's evolved over time. So we need to reach out and gather that information, that feedback. Again, there are a handful of things that are very, very consistent.
Yes.
You know, parking and traffic and zoning and matters of building permits.
And kind of neighborhood, for want of a better word, like creep, how to keep the residential and the commercial and the educational and the religious all somehow helping and blending. You know, we have so many schools, so many churches, thankfully, but
all vibrant
all
at the
vibrant,
moment.
That's right.
And then you add in Sarah Lawrence, for example, outside the community.
Right.
It's a very vibrant neighborhood, let's call it, extended neighborhood that we're very much at the center of. And we've got to incorporate all those thoughts into this comprehensive plan in order to make sure that we, you know, do it in a responsible way and in a way that everybody's very, very happy. It's appropriate.
Yeah. So with that in mind, I think the first step, if anybody has thoughts after just hearing our conversation today, all the ideas and thoughts are being funneled through our village administrator, Jim Palmer. So first thought is email us at jpalmer@vob.com. And as Mark said, we're working on crafting, whether it's a survey or a way to reach all our residents to say, what is it you want going forward in our village, in your home?
That's right. And we'll gather that feedback in the next couple of months, and by the, let's call it first quarter, second quarter latest, we'll have this update in much better shape for broad sharing.
So thank you for doing this, and to our audience, tell us what you think.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. I hope you enjoyed our show and our 4 segments about what's new in town. It's going to be an exciting fall, and I can't wait to update you on all the wonderful openings in the business district, and we'll be back post-holidays with hopefully some more exciting events in our village.